The Lions have some huge red flags that are too big to ignore at this point. There's a problem with Dan Campbell's play calling. Dan Campbell is not a good play caller. He's better off as being a CEO head coach. Like Nick Sirianni. Nick Sirianni, when he called plays early into his tenure as Philadelphia's head coach, he wasn't that good at it. So what did he do? He hired Shane Steichen. He hired guys that could call plays a lot better than what he could. Dan Campbell, he's a better play caller than what Nick Sirianni is, but he's not as good as what Ben Johnson was, or Sean Payton, or Andy Reid is. And you can tell that with how bad the Lions played offensively and their loss to the Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah, the Eagles got a good defense, but when you can't get any fourth down conversions, it's an indictment on the play calling. Yeah, Jared Goff played bad, and yeah, the offensive line is getting pushed around, but good play callers find a way to get their best players the ball in big moments. And Dan Campbell couldn't do that. And I never could completely understand the reasoning for why Dan Campbell took over the play calling anyway. I think Dan Campbell got a little bit nervous after they lost to the Minnesota Vikings. There were a few things that he didn't like. So instead of just going to his offensive coordinator and saying, hey, like, let's try to figure out how we can work through this, what we can change, Dan Campbell, being the guy that he is, probably said, man, give me this. I got it. I'll take it from here. I know what I'm doing calling the plays. And it just hasn't really worked out. The offense, I think, has looked a lot worse with Dan Campbell's play calling than what it was when you had the previous dude that's the OC calling the plays. And it's not like the Lions' offense was awful. Like Kevin Patullo, the Eagles' offensive coordinator, has been atrocious. And he's still calling plays. The Lions were top 5 in points per game. They're top 10 in yards. They still have one of the best offenses in the NFL. So Dan Campbell, he is trying to fix something that never needed to be fixed. Like, give the play calling back to the guy who you hired to call the plays and replace Ben Johnson. If the brother isn't that good, you can cut ways with him at the end of the season. But Dan Campbell's play calling was atrocious against the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, you can make the excuse and say, well, the guys got to execute. Yes, the guys do have to execute. Jared Goff would never bring a Lombardi to the city of Detroit. There's a reason why the guy that everybody in Detroit scapegoated for over a decade in Matthew Stafford has had more success, deliver the Super Bowl to the Rams than what Jared Goff had. Jared Goff got traded away from the Rams to Detroit for a reason. There's a reason why Sean McVay didn't hesitate to get rid of him. Because the guy doesn't show up in big games, in big moments, especially in cold weather games. Can you look at Jared Goff as a Lions fan and confidently say, yeah, this is the guy that can bring us a Super Bowl? I don't know how you can. Jared Goff is Tua with better PR. He's one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league, and yet he never shows up in the big games. This brother got outplayed by Jaden freaking Daniels. A rookie quarterback came into Jared Goff's house and outplayed him, took over his trap. Last season, when Jared Goff got outdueled by Jaden Daniels, that told me everything I needed to know about Jared Goff and how his career in Detroit is going to play out. They would never win the Super Bowl with him. Yeah, he may be good enough for Detroit, but he wasn't good for the LA Rams. Look at what Matthew Stafford is doing right now. Matthew Stafford could win the MVP this year. What's Jared Goff going to do? Yeah, he'll get the Lions in the playoffs, but you know they won't go no further than the division around the NFC Championship, because in big games and big moments, you cannot trust Jared Goff to get it done, especially when you got Dan Campbell calling the plays. And I don't understand why Dan Campbell wouldn't go for it on fourth down and instead calls a fake punt like nobody saw it coming. Dan Campbell, you're one of, if not the most aggressive head coach in NFL history. If you're not going for it on 4th and 2 and you got the punt team out there, we know damn well you're not punting the football. You're going to try a fake punt. It's just in your DNA. And I have nothing wrong with Dan Campbell's aggressiveness. How Dan Campbell coaches is how I would coach. If it's 4th and 2, 4th and 3, I don't care what side of the field we are. We got to go for it. It's 3, 2, 1 yards. If we can't get 1, 2, 3 yards, we don't deserve to be on the field. But the play calling and the execution out of this offense with Dan Campbell calling the plays is simply not there. It's not there. And it doesn't help that you have a quarterback in Jared Goff that gets happy feet, that starts tap dancing in the pocket when he just gets a breath of pressure on him. It doesn't help. Jared Goff under pressure is the worst quarterback in the NFL, in my opinion. This dude just gets so petrified when he has a guy coming at him. And I can't get mad at you. If you got Jalen Carter, the demon from Apocalypse, coming down about to knock your damn helmet off your shoulders, I'll be scared too. But come on, man. You're one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL. You got Jameson Williams, Jameer Timothy Gibbs. And you mean to tell me that this is the best you can do against the Philadelphia Eagles? The Lions will never, ever win the Super Bowl with Jared Goff. Now, I'm not saying that I need to start looking for Jared Goff's replacement right now, but eventually, Dan Campbell and the Lions organization will understand why the Rams traded him in exchange for Matthew Stafford. It's so ironic how Matthew Stafford was scapegoated for years when he was playing quarterback for the Detroit Lions. And all of a sudden, he goes to Sean McVay, one of the greatest offensive minds ever, and he's playing some of his best football ever. Could you imagine if Sean McVay inherited Matthew Stafford when he first got to the Rams instead of Jared Goff? The brother probably has 3, 4 Super Bowls by now. Matthew Stafford is going into the freaking Hall of Fame when he retires because of what he has done and his short amount of time with Sean McVay. And Jared Goff is just going to go down as another good quarterback, because the brother just doesn't show up when you need him to the most. Like the dude overthrew a wide open Amon-Ra St. Brown in the middle of the field countless times. Every time that pressure was coming, that's what Jared Goff was doing against the Philadelphia Eagles. Every time he saw Jalen Carter or Jalen Phillips humming off that edge, oh my gosh, oh, the wicked hit him. This is what you're paying all this money to?